Chilled gathering at my boyfriend's house. Started about 6 p.m. I'm doing bong hits at about 10 to 20 minute intervals. I've been a heavy weed smoker for about 2 years. I refuse some ketamine as I'm not in the mood to get wrecked. But then people arrive selling cocaine and it's hard to say no. In a couple of hours I've done 3 lines of coke, about 0.2 grams each. More people arrive, so I ask my boyfriend to rack up a line for me. He accidentally took out a wrap of 2CB which he had mistaken for a coke wrap. I ask my boyfriend to rack up a line for me. He accidentally took out a wrap of 2CB which he had mistaken for a coke wrap. Snort the line, which is roughly the same size as the lines of coke I'd been doing. Suddenly get a deep burning in my nose. I know something's wrong instantly. I start to see things start to go dark, so tell my boyfriend I think I might be tripping. He checks for the coke wrap and finds it. To which he laughs, "At least we've still got coke." Albeit a joke. It terrified me that he so casually made fun when he'd accidentally just given me a dose of 2CB far larger than I've ever done before. I am impressed at the grace and decorum I maintained as I was coming up and on the verge of a panic attack. I swiftly grabbed whatever was important, phone, water, pillow, and made my way to the spare room. Everyone at the gathering were very understanding, which gave me a bit of relief. I opened the big window in the spare room all the way and changed into my PJ bottoms and a loose hoodie, all whilst feeling very weak and shaky, seeing very intense hallucinations, and everything is pulsing with color and light and dark. I managed to lower myself onto a soft rug on the spare room floor and try to make some sense of the thoughts going round my confused mind. I am on quetiapine, a prescribed antipsychotic, to help with long-term mental health issues. A lot of the psychosis-induced thoughts and thought patterns, dissociation and existential anxiety that I have struggled with throughout my life feel very similar to how I felt during my trip. I was completely scatter-brained and my perspective on my situation was changing every few seconds. It felt like every negative feeling I've ever had was all condensed into this trip. I just lay there in the fetal position, completely unable to move, drooling, crying, getting sick of the geometric patterns that were everywhere I looked, and still there even when I closed my eyes. Things that I had enjoyed on 2CB before, the constant growing of objects without any actual increase in size, the cycle of colors, the ability to look at a blank wall and let my mind project the most amazing fractal patterns and shapes. The laughter had now become irrelevant. I had no desire to experience anything trippy that night, but there I was, laying on the floor with a sore nose in a delirious, delusional, depressed hellhole. By some miracle, my boyfriend's cat Bella, who is usually an annoying little shit, decided to come and lay, not just on me, but snuggled under my arm, which is something she would never usually do. This helped a lot. She was a refreshing reminder of life outside drugs, and that I wouldn't feel that way forever. Her furry little body in my arms, purring away, was the perfect distraction. Cats look beautiful on 2CB, so I managed to regain some appreciation of the drug momentarily. I soon stopped crying and decided to repay Bella. I somehow made it to my boyfriend's bedroom and found Bella's treats, in the dark. Also, this showed me that I was regaining some strength and becoming slightly more able. Soon my boyfriend comes upstairs. He apologizes repeatedly and made sure that no one stayed the night so I could relax. He gives me lots of water and gently strokes me, which helps a lot. At this point I think about 2 hours or so have passed since snorting the line. I was still heavily tripping, but nowhere near what I had been. It was closer to a level of trip I'm used to. After an hour or so of sipping water and being stroked, I decide to do a bong. At this point the hallucinations are subtle, but noticeable if I stare at something for a while. I have calmed down and stopped feeling so negative. Things are starting to make a lot more sense and I'm very talkative about what I'm experiencing. After I do my bong, I realize that all my hallucinations are completely gone. Coincidence or miracle weed? Either way, I was so relieved to be free. Obviously this particular trip was horrible, but I think that is mostly to do with the fact I didn't mean to take any 2CB. And it was a huge line. Aside from that, I still had no problem with the drug. I proceeded to take it recreationally the following evening, but only about 3 tiny bumps snorted. And I had a good time. Moral of the story is, if you accidentally take loads of drugs, look after yourself and sort as much as you can out before you start coming up. And preferably find a cat.